Everybody rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting order. Roll call.
Mayor Webster.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Bolton. Reese.
Yes.
Anybody for public forum? Consent agenda, any additions or corrections? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mulder.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Bolton. Reese.
Yes.
We have a building permit from Dan and Cindy Bruni. Motion to approve?
And from Jennifer Reeder then also. There's two of them. Eric has approved both of these.
Motion to approve?
I'll do it.
Second. Roll call.
Reese.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Bolton.
And a fence permit from Randy and Linda Newman.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Bolton. Tom.
Yes.
Ordinance 514, this is our second reading.
Of the swimming pool ordinance, basically does away with that definition of what a permanent swimming pool is. And just goes to a statement of size.
We have no public opinion.
I had no comments.
Have a motion to waive the third reading. So moved. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Bolton. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
So that would have been the second reading.
We have a motion to waive it.
So we waive it and then finally approve ordinance 514.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Bolton. Yes. Mulder.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Resolution 2135. Zoning variance.
Yeah, so Alan and Sandy Beckman had requested a zoning variance. Basically what this does is that it would allow the construction of a three-season room on that deck area south of their house. And so it fills out basically south of the house, it would be about the same size there as what the deck is, and they would still have the deck on the front side of the house. This was presented to the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment has issued the variance, and the council would be asked to approve that resolution on page 10.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mulder.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Bolton. Reese.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, now we have a building permit. Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Bolton.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
It's too late to say anything.
I was just gonna add, I know it's probably isn't placed either, but I did bring all the families except for one, either by letter or there, to change that in between McClure and Blossom Street for everybody, so it's just done all at once. Jeff Smith already has it done, we do, Jennifer Reeder would like it, who's my other neighbor down there? Dean Rain would like it, Sam Monahan would like the same thing, and the only guy we didn't talk to doesn't have a house. I'm sure if you ever built one, we would appreciate the same thing, because we have the same thing. So we'll probably attend the planning and zoning. I read that right.
What is it you're asking for?
Everybody's asking for the same variance in all the yards on both sides of the street, not just Smith's and us. But I brought a letter and I gave it to Scott from Jennifer and Sam.
But the only thing I'm confused about is everybody on the street doesn't have the same area.
Well,
setback
it's,
usually.
you're right, the average setback of, I don't know how my verbiage goes with this, but
What confuses me about that is that the footage of the street is in your deed,
yep.
I don't understand why that always comes into play, because technically it's in your property. I don't know why it's always separate.
Just one good example of that anymore would be that San Montana rental house that was built prior to having obtained the extra wide right of way. So it's built back so much further because the right of way is so much further. And then all of the homes through there were similar prior to that.
Everyone's confused?
Yeah.
Very.
We'll just wait.
Okay, we have an application for the Business Property Improvement Grant.
Yep, right.
You wanna give us a rundown of what you're gonna do?
Yeah,
Please.
basically, we bought the building from Gary Wicker January 1st and realized, you know, that the main street down here is very up and coming, looks new. The building's so old, we kinda wanted to make it similar to Milton's on Main. We went out and got a bid from Peters Bros. Bid came back at $13,417. So we're asking for a $5,000 grant to help with those costs. They want to start construction here mid-September, and it'll be done late fall.
I make a motion that we approve.
And I'll second it.
Roll call.
Tom,
Yes.
Muller,
Yes.
Priest,
Yes.
Bolton. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, thank you, thank you for investing in
Yeah,
it.
thanks
Yes,
for coming.
thanks.
Only about 30 minutes old.
Okay, resolution 2136, street financial report.
Yeah, and really, it's just it's of course an annual report that we got prepared to submit in regards to the road use tax. And it begins on page 12, as far as the funds committed from the general fund and from road use tax, and then any other special revenues, which in this case is special assessments, as well as then debt service, and whether we had any capital projects, which we did have capital projects to report in last year. The other thing really of note then is on that front page, it shows what the ending balance is. For road use of about 80,000 and 40,000 from that other special revenue, which again is special assessment. Now those will all be used and paid in at some point. And with debt service also. Capital projects, that's where we have $127 there.
Need a motion to approve 2136.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Second. Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bolton. Yep. Reese.
Yes.
Muller.
Yes.
Tom.
Okay, the development of outlet 20.
So, you take a look at the bigger pull-out pages there. So outlot 20, what we're talking about with outlot 20 is the Reardon property. And we had the engineering firm DGR come and do a site survey out there, get it all surveyed, and then give us some concepts about what the infrastructure would be through there. So, just in general, there is that existing sanitary sewer that runs through there. Okay? Water service, they would propose that we would loop water from the end of West Street, basically down the cul-de-sac, and then over and connects with the main right by the corner of the city shops on Hanson Street. So this would be a loop feed water. The other main part of the project then deals with street, and really two components of the street is the one existing block there of West Street that is undeveloped yet, and so that would have us paving that entire block there of West Street, plus it's about 175 feet then of street that goes up to this cul-de-sac in outlot 20. So
it looks like the sewer line's going under those driveways, is that right?
yeah, sure could.
was it not feasible to keep that out in the road?
So the location of the sewer main, we have the legal description of the easement on there, okay? Then they're able to put that legal description in here, so that's the location of the sewer main is just through the legal, okay? And some of it is in the road, and then some of it is just off to the side, where they would have to continue to give us easement. And then also, of course,
Well, I realize we have an easement, I just was surprised that they were gonna pour a driveway over.
well, either that or the street, I mean, just some,
Private.
Right, if something goes wrong.
oh, if something goes wrong, you know, we would tear things up and we have to replace it.
That's true, that's right on the street.
The other thing of note there then deals with drainage. See the proposal here, well, with drainage includes some retention cells up there in the northeast and the northwest part of the property. So it has a little storm sewer in the street, but the storm sewers are proposed to drain into this retention basin.
So, has Dean done like, I mean, do you kind of know where the water flows there from? At what point it starts flowing north on that street?
I have not been up there, watched it flow through there. Just with the way the land flows, it looks like it runs to the north.
From where?
From the street where it stops.
Seventh Street?
Otherwise, it kind of falls back towards the south towards you.
If you see that, then the heat on page 18, and the green lines are a storm sewer.
Yep.
So that,
That's
it has two
new, right?
intakes in the street, and that's new.
lines,
Yeah,
okay.
there's two intakes in the street there, so if we drain in the street there to drain to the northeast retention basin, and then there's one intake that will drain to the northwest retention basin.
Off of that little cul-de-sac area, that green line, short.
Yes, yep. When you flip to the next page, that just gives you a little detail of what the retention basins would be, basically, you're looking at being 4 feet deep.
How big are they?
The dimensions, I guess I don't know.
1 inch is 1 foot.
Now, of course, this involves working with the developers on that too, because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 duplexes shown here. Their plan will show for at least 6. And
7 in top,
and could
so where are
potentially
they,
be 7.
where are they gonna put them?
I think they'll relocate those retention basins a little further away and be able to get that work.
So when will they determine whether they have 6 or 7? That's,
As the developers are in their study with the financing people, so they gotta do their feasibility study. And then this feasibility study is gonna determine how many units will be built right away. They're anticipating 12 to 14, but could start with this time.
And that's with the USDA.
Yes, yeah.
You know, they keep kind of changing the plan, so now it's kind of duplexes. He does mention a story and a half or 2-story, but he doesn't really show it on here.
Yeah, and these plans are from the engineer, not from the developer, so these
Okay.
plans deal with infrastructure.
Okay, okay.
And so the only written proposal that we have from the developer yet was their initial proposal to us, which had the 2-story duplexes. And I know that they are looking at some single-story duplexes, and also then looking at issues about whether they would all be rental or whether there would be some there for sale. Page 20, you see what the cost estimate was for infrastructure. you to take a look at that agreement that was on your table here. As you sat down, you flip to the back 2 pages of that. Because that allocates the costs then between the city and the affordable housing folks. And just in rough terms, the city would be responsible for water installation, which is what we've done at all of our recent subdivisions. The city installs water service. And then, as part of their proposal, this showed the city installing 175 feet worth of street. Well, that also then includes another block of street to get to the property. So the amount is more. So as you look at the right side of that spreadsheet, you can see the cost of the city of Lakeview for water service and the city of Lakeview for streets, and then the portion to the affordable housing folks. As you look at those costs then, for 96,000, including contingency, we're at 96,000 on water and 164,000 on streets. And flip one more page then back in the packet to the sources of funding for that then. That there are several sources of funding as far as could have some funding from the general fund, some from sales tax. We have some funds left over in our water bond sinking fund. We paid off our bond and at $47,000 is available. And then the ARPA funds, the total funds, which we would use for water projects.
Tell me again about those, are they only for water?
Water, you know, the biggest straightly permitted uses of that fund was water and broadband. Okay.
Is broadband still in that?
Yeah.
And when they talk about broadband, does that include things like fiber optic cable?
Yes,
Does
sure.
it?
Yep.
So all of that is available money from federal?
Yes, yep, through the American Resource Recovery Program. But, of course, around here, all that stuff is provided to us by Cornwall.
What we're gonna use those ARPA funds for the project for the west.
Yeah, it would be some type of water project. So whether it's
So
residential or
total
that's
was
pump station.
160.
On that pump station.
Or the cost of it.
Yes.
But
Oh, yeah, the ARPA funds are 160.
okay,
Yeah,
but
about
weren't we talking before about using that COLA funds for that?
Sure. Just that it's available for use for water.
I thought we were using some to go to that, but.
That I think not, because that's gonna be financed by TIF.
So we need to decide whether we're gonna use that part or just that or split it now, is what you're talking about.
Just, when you get right down to it, we're gonna talk about a development agreement here before too long. That, it didn't necessarily say from which funds you're gonna take the money to pay for the water or streets, just that you would commit to do that. And so that's the rest of this packet there. As far as this development agreement between the city and the Affordable Housing Foundation.
Dave, did you see when you reviewed this look okay to you, or do you have any second thoughts on anything?
I dropped most of it.
Yeah. It should be good, huh?
It should be pretty good.
Okay. Just kicking that time.
I'll tell you more about it later.
Yeah.
Is it gonna work? Is that all?
No, we're gonna go through this, I want everybody to be on board with what's going on with this development. That does, eventually transfers ownership of Outlot 20 to the Affordable Housing Foundation. Okay, another issue then to consider is that when we had taken proposals on that property initially, it did not include that depot property. It still does not include that depot property. So we have that leg of the property there, that south leg, that is not proposed right now to go along with this housing development. Okay, they'd be interested in it. They'd be interested in owning that property also. But, so I guess just keep that in the back of your mind about whether we'd be interested in including that in the project.
One thing I want to be clear on, and I've read through this, but this soil sampling, and, it's kind of their responsibility, but is there anywhere there that we're part of that cost? I mean, other than the cleanup, when you talk about the, any brownfield concerns will be addressed as directed by the city pursuant to the plan approved by the Iowa Dam. I mean, where are we at with that?
It's been approved. So we have a remediation plan. The plan's been approved by the DNR. Okay, the basis of the plan is this, we'll go ahead and proceed with the site development. Okay, as you're disturbing dirt down there, we do need to be routinely taking some samples of the dirt as the development is occurring. And this, what we would do is hire this consultant that we've used from Ames who did the plan for us. And he would come do this site work for us. And it involves some testing, and it's a handheld testing unit that he would do.
But as we're putting in this infrastructure, we're gonna be disturbing the ground more than the development.
True, yep.
So we're gonna be liable if we're finding there that we have to remediate, or is it just pretty much just hauling in more dirt, removing it and covering it up? I mean, how costly is that gonna be? Could it be?
It just don't know exactly what this is going to entail, okay? When you remediate the dirt, problematic dirt, it's because it's above the threshold level, okay? The testing down there was above a DTEC level, but nothing had ever had the threshold. So we hadn't found anything that should be problematic. Now, will there be? Boy, I would guess somewhere along the line there'd be something that'd be problematic. And then you do have to haul the dirt out, and it's landfill.
I just wondered is there any way to estimate, or at least have some money put aside for those costs?
Right now, in this development agreement, when we pick up the site and paragraph 3, we're saying that the developer will be responsible for the cost of the remediation plan, including cost of soil monitoring, and other different. That's the development side of the site.
Any work that we're doing too. I mean, so that covers the work we're doing also.
Right now. I expect you might get some little pushback.
Okay, I was concerned about that. All right. Thanks.
All right, so just on the second page there, their cleanup of the site is to remove any remaining buildings, fencing and junk, that's their responsibility. Okay, the site's cleared of dead and dying trees. Okay, if there's attractive mature trees yet, they can be left for landscaping. See the brownfields then about having the developers bear those costs. Again, per their proposal to us that the city would participate in half of the cleanup cost, then up to $12,000 would be our
Not including any
share.
brownfield.
Yes.
Right, the city participates in the non-funds for the
So anyway, the 27.5 would only go for that and not for me. Is that kind of what that means?
Right.
see use of the site, about how the Affordable Housing Foundation then would build these units there with these units to be held long-term and rented or potentially sold then to the community. The item number 2 there, the city reserves the right to review and approve proposed leases and sales. So that gives the city a little bit of input into the type of use of the rental units. Description of the improvements to site that they will do these 12 to 16 units with all the utilities, sidewalk, parking, green space. Okay, appropriate lighting. See there, investment there, 1.7 to 2.2 million. Timeline. This still has timeline being breaking ground in this fall. If that were to happen, it would just be really surprise. Just that time gets away from you. And they do need to finalize their feasibility study approval with USDA. Purchase price for the property was $10,000. See the tax abatement there, our regular 5-year graduated tax abatement, but then also has in years 6 through 10 and 20% tax abatement. Waives the connection fees for utilities. City would extend West Street, then that 175 feet, but you also got to get there from 7th Street, so that's the extension. Okay, no TIF funds, no CDBG monies. Well, with that though, just knowing that there's some additional improvements, then again, the city provides water at no cost to the developer, and that would include water main, curb stops, and fire hydrants. And the city provides electric service as we would to any of our customers. And then the city provides street lighting. And if we're consistent with what we did with Bobby Carroll, the city would pay a maximum of $1,000 per pole then for street lighting, which accommodates the regular Cobra arm fiberglass. What else you got there, Dave?
This, from there forward, pretty much is language that makes me happy. There is a dispute, talks about dispute resolution and how we proceed to the collaboration. As it states, the time is of the essence, so we can keep this contract out to the full purpose time without express extension of the city or the consent of the city.
Your thoughts on that development agreement? Okay, we have not presented this to the developer. I've talked with the developer. They know this is all coming up here quickly. But I would intend to present that to them and get rolling with that.
So we'll come back to the
I would expect they would.
Yeah.
So, yes. Sure.
It's good to me.
starting point.
Okay, we'll submit that draft one.
They are the only ones interested in this, right?
Yeah, that was the only proposal we received.
Okay, we have a final pay application from Biotension Cell.
Yeah, so this is just the final pay estimate for that biocell out there at Bobby Carroll's. Everything has long since been approved, and this will be final payment. Then we'll turn around and file for the final amount of sponsored projects funds to pay for it, and then get those sponsored projects closed out then. So the other sponsored project was the fish barrier, and that's been closed out then.
I'll make the motion to approve that final payment.
Second.
One second.
Roll call.
Motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Bolton.
Yep.
Reese.
Yes. safety education program keeps changing?
Well, it is changing a little bit, but as a practical matter, it's very similar to what we've done for years. So for 20 years, I think the city has participated in what was at the time a safety cluster. So it was all the communities from our region, and we would just purchase into the program, and then IEMU, municipal utilities, would come around and provide the safety training. And we knew that we would always have a safety class, usually once a month, and it would always be in our region. Okay, they had 13 or 14, I think, of these little regions around the state. So then they changed their service delivery model, and went to a plan where they have one person in each quadrant of the state at least. And then that person would be responsible for a handful of communities, does their safety training, and really some expanded safety programs, walkthroughs, all of this other type of information. Okay, now we had discussed this several months ago and decided not to proceed down that road. That was significantly more expensive. But now, instead of these regional clusters, then all around the state, what they're doing is getting rid of all of the regional clusters. You have a statewide organization now. Okay, it still functions somewhat the same because they'll have one safety class, say, per month, and they will always have a safety class within our region, so that it's close enough that we can still get our folks to the safety class. The other thing that has changed since COVID time is that a lot of them are done through video conferencing, so we're able to keep up to date, and it's proven to be a pretty decent and cost-effective way for us to get our safety training done. See that the cost goes up a couple $100. So it had been about $2,050, and now it will go up to $2,246 per year. But I would recommend we just continue to participate that way. What we need to do is approve that thing in the packet called the Iowa Safety Education Program Participant Agreement.
We're gonna take option 2.
Yes. Yep.
Make a motion to approve that.
I'll make it.
Second? Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna purchase a new copier.
We're gonna discuss it. So, over the course of the years, we have tended to get our copiers through a lease arrangement, and 5-year leases have worked out real well for us. Our 5-year lease will come up again in February. Okay, we want to look at getting out of that lease a little bit early, largely because then the library is going to be interested in purchasing our machine. So you saw the buyout price on that, $2,200 or something like that. The library, $2,600. The library would purchase that then. Okay, so it's been a good machine for us, and the cost per copy is really substantially less than what the library does right now. And it over the course of just a couple of years, it ended up being a little safer for us. But you want to talk about that a little bit, Kay, and what some of the options are?
Well, it started out because the library, their copy machine wasn't working, and they have a service agreement with the company, and this year's service agreement cost them somewhere around $900 and some, which is just, it seemed ridiculous for what they were getting because they weren't even, it wasn't including the toner. So when I added up their costs so far this year, it was about $2,200 that the library was paying in toner and copier maintenance. So they asked us about our copier, and so we were talking about, the 5-year lease and whatnot, and they were interested in purchasing it if the lease price, or if the buyout price was fairly decent. And obviously, if you look at the buyout price versus what they paid in less than a year, and not too much different. So I contacted the copier people and they agreed that, gave us the price. And then I also asked for quotes on new machines and a quote on a service contract for the library. So the library service contract, ends up costing them maybe $30 a month compared to the $2,200 a year that they paid so far this year. So then we looked at copiers for us, and we looked at the current cost of our current copier and what our lease rate is. And of course, as you get into the new machines, the copy costs are less because it's a new machine and they're probably less maintenance. So we looked at two different companies. The company we have now is with Access Systems. And the current machine, its features and our total expense at the bottom is clear to the right. And so then we quoted a price with One Source and Access on the same machine. And if you look down to the bottom, you'll see that for more copies, because the copy cost is less, which includes maintenance and toner and everything but paper, then our monthly cost goes down from what we're paying now. I also asked them to look at a machine that folds. And not so much necessarily for us, but for all of the fundraisers that come through the office and all of the copies that we do for anything. We've done them for the Legion, we've done them for the Men's Club, we've done them for Water Carnival, we've done them for Stone Pier Concert. You've all helped with the folding or the stuffing or the putting the postage on. And of course, not knowing how bad that was gonna be, what the additional cost would be. The third one over under Access Sharp does have a folder, and you'll see that the cost difference between the basic model, including the 5,000 black copies and 1,200 color copies, is about $168 a month, and that includes the lease price of $102. It's $190 for a machine that folds. So it's not a whole lot more, still less than we're paying now, but is it necessary? I don't know. But we do make a lot of copies for folks whom.
So the folding machine we have now is a separate entity?
It is, and it wasn't an expensive one when we bought it. We do have issues with it jamming or taking multiple, papers at a time.
How old is it?
No, it's not, it's 5 or 7 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it was inexpensive when we bought it, it was not fancy. So,
When you feed them through it.
yeah, it is. It's not the best, but it works and it's better than nothing.
That's true.
So, it's not like we don't have something, it's not like we can't continue to use it. I just thought, hey, do they offer such a thing, and is it even reasonable that we, should consider it?
So this actually would fold from the copier itself?
Yeah, as you're making the copies, it does the folding at the same time.
Oh, that'd be pretty nice.
We would like to stay with our current company. They've done very good as far as service. They respond either within the same day or the next day. And as you can see, price-wise, they are super competitive and, cheaper than the other place we quoted for the exact same machine.
So this is one company here with different machines, or is this different
Well,
companies?
The first two are two different companies quoting the same machine.
Okay.
Okay. Under copier comparison, you see One Source, Access, Access, and Access. And so Access quoted as 2 Sharps, one that folds, one that doesn't, and a Ricoh that folds, which, I'm not necessarily as familiar with those types of copiers. I'm sure they're good quality and everything. It's just, we just felt for what we needed, the less expensive, either the regular or the less expensive folding.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been fine. The library has already had their meeting. If we decide to purchase, to lease the copier sooner than February, they've already had their meeting that they do want to purchase. So,
Well, I don't know, it seems to me for what are we talking, less than $20, or a little over $20 a month, right, difference?
$22.
For me, I would want, I'd use that folder.
Like I said, it works, it's
Yeah.
not ideal, but it does work.
But the folding machine would mess with your work somewhat.
Well-
Sometimes jam it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I usually am here, Scott or I are usually around to assist with it, and it's not that we have a lot of, not that we wouldn't use it, we just don't have the mass mailings of these other groups that come in and have us make copies for them, and then they have to turn around and come back in and have somebody, fold them all after the fact. We were just, you know, if you're making 1,200 copies, because that's what our mass mailers are, that you'd have a copy and fold it all at once, and then alleviating a lot of the work for the group to come in and take care of.
For that little bit of money for me, I would make a motion that would use the Sharp NX 4071. So they're both 4071, so.
Yeah, it's just the one is a,
The folder.
yep, the middle one is the folder.
That's mine.
Motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Tom,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Muller,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Coleman.
Yep. Now, flip phone, I guess.
Is that your folder?
Close up the phone.
Yeah, it's like the messages that come.
Okay, you must not fold it. Because we can tell us about our issues with the program that's not very good.
Well, it's not that it's not very good, it's that the information we received early on, was not correct as far as the ACH payments and how they're processed through the new program. So the new program called Front Desk, if you set up an account on it, you can do so much more than what you can through the old, internet banking program that we have. The Front Desk program, you can actually go in and change your own mailing address, you can change your own bank account information. You can put in a service request, you know, and then it's emailed to us directly. You can fill out your building permit form and submit it that way. You can do all kinds of things. We're just having a hard time maybe promoting it and getting people to sign up, because when we originally purchased the program, we were told that anybody on the city's current ACH program, which we'd have no fees, would, as long as they didn't sign up for auto pay on the Front Desk program, they could stay on the city's ACH program. Come to find out, after multiple times of confirming this with them, that, hey, you told us this, that our rep said, well, that she was mistaken and that is not the case. So the problem is, if you sign up for the Front Desk program and you create your own account and you're on ACH with our current program, it'll take you off that program. And then it'll want you to sign up for the auto pay through that, which charges $1.50, just like it does an e-check, like our regular program is. If you do an e-check online, it's about $50, if you do a credit card, it's $4. This program is the same thing, but all of those customers that we have now on ACH, where I submit the file to the bank, aren't getting charged a fee at all. And of course, we were told that that was gonna remain the case, and it's not. So we're having a hard time getting people to convert to that new program because they don't wanna pay that $1.50 fee when they're used to having the ACH come out for nothing.
Are they gonna be able to stay on the ACH the way they are now, or are they gonna have to convert?
They're gonna have to convert if they create an account and sign up. See, where they told us
So if they don't
before,
create an account, is it gonna stay the way it is now?
it can, right. But the whole idea behind this program was to convert everybody to the new program, because eventually they will do away with our current internet banking program.
So if you sign up on the new program and you currently have your utility payment taken out of your account every month,
It kicks you out. It takes you off our current UBI internet program and wants you to sign up for, so Scott and I found out the hard way. We went in to test it and signed ourselves up. And the first month, his didn't come out and he got kicked off, and of course he found out because I gave him a disconnect notice. Because we've been on ACH ever since we were able to. So I'm like, well, that's odd that his got kicked out and mine didn't. The next month, mine got kicked out. So neither one of us now are on ACH because we signed up for under the front desk program.
Can you go back to the?
Not unless we can, we'd have to close or stop our front desk account in order to then go back on the ACH with the city where it wouldn't cost us. Now, for those people who use our current UBI internet program, they're used to paying that $1.50. But for these several hundred customers that we have on the ACH program where we just submit the files to the bank, there's no fee, and they're not used to paying that fee, and they don't like having to pay that $1.50 fee because it's considered an e-check now, not an ACH file.
So what is the customer gonna have to do? So let's say that we're gonna keep this, and let's say the city's gonna pay the fee. What does the customer have to do? Do they now have to go in and transfer? Do they have to convert? Do they have to do this every month? What do they have to do?
No, they can sign up on AutoPay through the front desk program. They just would have to create their account and then sign up on AutoPay through that program.
And then it's just automatic every month? That's all they have to do?
And the point behind the front desk program, besides that the consumer can do so much more, is that it's so much safer as far as storing your credit card information, your bank information, all of that is just another higher level of security versus us having it in-house or having it on the computer, in case of being hacked and all that kind of stuff. So that's why they push it so much, is that it's just so much safer, cybersecurity wise, than what we have now.
Well, it costs $1.50.
It costs $1.50 for an e-check. But like I said, the trouble we're having is the people that sign up and they get kicked out, well, I'll just send you a check now because
Per account.
per account.
Because we
Right.
don't want to pay that $1.
They don't pay the $1.50 fee.
I think if we could provide that service for our customers and taxpayers.
So if the city covers that cost, it's 50 cents per account each month for who's ever on it. Well,
What's
but
that
it,
come to?
okay, but we signed up for 300 front desk customers, and we have, 400 ACH customers. So potentially, we're saying it could be, 300 to 400. Right now, it's not. Right now, it's a minimal amount. I just want everybody to know that, we signed up for 300 front desk customers, and it could be 300 customers every month on this program or more.
The other option is to pay with a debit card. They'd have to go in every month and do this, right?
If they do a debit card, they can still set it up on AutoPay, but there is that $4 debit card charge. Now, the younger folks whom are used to paying the fees don't
They
have a
don't
problem with
care.
it. They don't care.
Alright.
They don't care.
Right.
It's the older folks,
Are you talking about us? Okay, I got it.
that, are, because I've had the calls, well, this is set up on ACH, how come? Oh, but I don't wanna discontinue my account there, I like having all that information available to me. I'll just send you a check from now on.
So
Yeah.
I think,
Which they can do, not a problem, it's just,
so what are we talking about, the city paying for that fee, is what we're talking about?
That's the question, is the city interested in paying that fee, which would be 50 cents to the city for those customers
I think that's,
who are on the front desk and do the e-check versus the customer paying the $1.50 to be on the e-check.
So you're
on the front
talking
desk.
about potentially 400 people, 50 cents a piece every month.
Right, do I see it getting that far? No. But could it? Yes, and so I don't want you to think that I'm saying, that, no, we'll never have more than 100. Because the potential is there that we could have, is it there right now? No, and do I see it getting that far? Not necessarily, because a lot of our older folks who don't use the internet and who don't have a computer and who aren't gonna get on there, but still have ACH, aren't probably gonna convert. But,
I don't have a problem with paying that 50 cents, because it's a service to people that use it, and the people that use it, that is better for the city, because we know the funds are coming directly.
well, right, and obviously a lot less processing and in-house work. If it's done ACH, so you download a file, it uploads it, it's done. We do nothing, as far as when it comes to the checks, you're processing, taking it to the bank, doing the posting.
But just so I understand this clearly, is everyone gonna have to go in and do this convert, or are you doing it, or?
Well, that's the thing we've kind of talked about, is in order to, convert everybody over, we either need to just let them continue to do it slowly and encourage them to do it, promote the program some more, or we need to take down our, current UBI internet program off the website, and the only one they have left to choose from is the front desk. And they just have to go in and create their account, and like Tammy, if you have multiple accounts, you can link all your accounts together, you don't have to go in and do them separately.
Right.
It's all right there, and you can see everything all together versus,
But I'm talking about the people that are already set up,
right, the ACH ones or the, right, right,
ACH ones.
right.
Are they gonna have to go online and do this, or?
Well, that's something we need to decide, is whether we are going to force them to do it. You know, eventually they may have to, because they keep talking about, getting rid of the current UBI internet program we have. I don't see that happening for a year or two.
Okay.
Eventually, though, it's gonna happen, and there's just so much more that they can do if they would, you know, take a look around in there and go through the program. There's just so much more, the information they have at their hands, and information, their own information that they can take care of. They can change their address when they want to, they can change the mailing, they can change their bank account. Right now, you know, it's calling us and having us do it for them, and, which is not a problem, it's just, if you want control over your own account, it's there.
So would this make a new contract then, that would this all be laid out how we can do this, or?
We would have to sign a contract with our credit card people. They're the ones whom do the processing, it's a third-party company. They do all the processing, that it kind of protects the city from, you know, if we would get hacked, or if their accounts get hacked. You know, it's not us that they can come back on. The 50 cents, they say, is a new government rule. The contract they had in May, the rules have changed, the federal rules have changed as far as ACHs, and so now they charge 50 cents because they guarantee that the bank account is an active account and not a closed account. They guarantee that the money in the account is on the, has a positive balance, and then they guarantee that the amount coming out is, you know, gonna be covered. So you don't have that, you know, somebody giving you a bad check or putting in an account that's closed, and, you know, then they get by with, yeah. That's what the price guarantee is, that all the stuff is taken care of for us, and we don't have to mess with it. And, you know, obviously, we don't have to do it, we can stick with the old program as long as we want, or as long as it's available. It's just, we've been trying to get people to the new program, and it's been difficult because of the fact that they don't like having to pay that $1.50 fee.
But that could all change if the city agrees to pay the 50 cents.
Right, right. Yeah, cause they would be just like they are now. They'd have all the access, all the benefits,
Right.
but at no expense, no additional expense. Yeah.
We need a motion for that.
I thought that's what yours was.
It was.
Is there a second? Yes. There's a second to the motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Mulder,
Yes.
Moller,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Reese.
That means we don't have to sign up tomorrow, do
No, you don't have to sign up tomorrow.
we? Yes.
Thanks for explaining that all, Kate.
Thank you, Kay.
You're welcome.
Come back tomorrow and ask for a repeat.
No problem.
Can you write that?
Okay, we have a consideration of a bump out renovation plan, Sandy?
Yep. So we're looking at replacing the plants in the bump outs. The daylilies have ran their days. And after kind of looking it over, the rocks have really settled in, the dirt quality is very poor, so we're looking at cleaning out the bump outs and starting fresh. The project would start by removing all of the rocks, saving the rocks because we reuse those. Dirt, we would get from wherever you have your dirt hid back there, we got dirt. We got good quality dirt, we're gonna reuse the rocks. So basically, the cost is gonna be for the plants. And, then we always, I guess you guys have always talked about putting lights on the trees, and it would include the lights. On the map side though, after I went through and looking at all the bump outs, the trees that have lights are not consistent. Some have electricity and some don't. And so, to make it uniform, we would do the yellow bump outs that I colored in. Those would be the, bump outs that would have lights on the trees. And then the orange bump outs would be the same planting wise, it just they wouldn't have, lights on those trees. Again, not every bump out has a plug-in. And then the little green ones, those are all the corner ones. Those would be grasses. We kind of thought it'd be a good place, if we put anchors in for like the cutouts like the mayor makes. So they're kind of all in the same place, so it's all uniform.
So in all the yellows, there's existing electric.
Yes, and there is some in the orange, but it's just not consistent to hang lights to make it look uniform down the street.
We've had an issue with electricity down there before. We considered putting electricity in more spots.
I don't know what the issue is, I just know that talking to some of the business owners, like Gina was telling me, they have to have somebody flip a switch or do something to have the electric work in their spots. So Scott maybe, we just had talked that there's probably gonna have to be an upgrade in something so that this easily comes on a timer versus somebody
Having to flip the switch.
flip a switch, yeah.
As far as the cutouts go, there might be times when you wanna keep them on the orange, is that what you said, that you might.
The green.
That they might want more of them.
The green, and we can put more in,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. The green is just a little more showcasing because it's those little corner ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing is too, is just kinda like, keeping away from some of these plants the first year or two, because like, part of the plant project is, we want color. There's 200 tulips going in. 200 tulips sound like a lot, but when you divide it out by this many bump outs, it's not very many. There's gonna be little clusters of 6 or 7 here or there. And then the plants that we've worked out with Stacy, they're blooming plants. There's spring, there's summer, and there's fall are involved with this. So what we're running into though is Halloween. So there's a Halloween project going on out there, and they're going to start decorating their bump outs on October 11th. With the stuff that we have going on in the campground and working with Eric and his schedule, we have about a 2-week window to get this done, starting September 27th. And to ask Eric or Mark to help, I can't take them the whole day, so we thought if we could even get volunteers to help us Monday through Friday for those 2 weeks from 8:30 to noon would be great help, because that's when I can get Eric and Mark. Because it's usually a little wet yet in the morning, so they're not mowing, so we can use their time then. And again, it's gonna take a lot of manpower. We're gonna remove all the rock, pile it, dig out all the dirt, and then start over. And then some of the plants will be planted right away before the rocks go in. The tulips will be in November, and then some of the plants that have to go in the spring, that'll be in like April.
Tulips don't bloom very long now.
Tulips, what's that?
Tulips don't bloom very long.
No, but you have a rotation of spring.
Spring, summer,
fall, I mean,
yes. The tulip cost is like $160 for the 200,
I know.
yeah.
Everybody always hates the daylilies, but to me, they bloom longer than anything else.
And we have and we're not gonna take every single one of those out. The ones that look hardy and good, we're going to save those. But some of the grasses are very old and they're in a circle and they don't have nothing in the center, they need to go. Some of the daylilies have split and they just never got split and transplanted. Now they've split and they're kinda like falling this way and that way. But some of them are in good shape.
I pretty much like most of it. I guess the only things I don't, me personally, I don't like, I do not like miniature evergreen trees.
It was just
Would you happen to know that?
Okay.
Because that's what mine was.
And it
Just
didn't,
tell-
and it
No,
was
it wasn't a
gigantic.
miniature, so I'm
It was just something a business owner threw out there.
It would be a snow nightmare. And then I don't know, I like the way the bump outs are kind of designed in a way. I mean, obviously they need cleaned up and spruced up, but I don't really like the rings around the trees, that's just myself.
It was just a thought, otherwise we'd just do plants. What those
You can do
rings, what we're trying to do.
You're in charge, that's just my opinion.
What we're trying to do then, so the plants in the ground, they'll come back every year. But we also wanted to put stuff in that we're going to plant every spring, because they, like, I don't know if you guys seen any of the flowers that we did this spring, like, we had some big blooming stuff that
Flowers
looked
look
good.
really good.
Right,
And we watered them, took care of them, I always said we doped them,
you're gonna put annuals in instead, not just all perennials.
right, we're gonna mix it up so that we have more color in them, in the donuts.
The golf course looked beautiful this year.
Thank you. Then the lights that we're looking at, they would stay on the trees. And I've been talking with Eric how to attach them to the tree without hurting the tree, but these lights, they would have programs on them where they change colors to what we set it to. So they'd be green or red at Christmas, they could be blue during the 4th of July, green at St. Patrick's Day. They would stay on the trees. And so then I put in the budget, an extra couple sets for backups, because you know how that goes.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the renovation project.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call. Laura?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Pete? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about pickleball court.
I'm just here to give you options. I don't know if you want to do the pickleball court or whatever, but, so my picture, this is we call it the red court at the, campground. And I can tell you that it rarely gets used. And so I was looking at it one day and I'm thinking that's some pretty prime real estate that we always need more parking or more campsites. And then the being part of the park board, the pickleball came up. And now, in that picture, the red net is gone because it got vandalized. So now all we have is 2 poles there. The cable is broke, so it would have to be fixed to replace it. And I told Eric to let's hold off until we find out what we're gonna be doing here. As far as the pickleball, I did do some research. You can concrete it. Then once you put the, what do you wanna call it, paint the lines and the designs on it and stuff. Concrete holds more moisture, that's not gonna stay on, you're gonna have to have it done often.
But they coat it.
It's a coating.
I really like the
Yes.
ones at Sac City.
Yes.
And I've not played on, I've played on other ones, but just regular concrete, so,
I-
yes,
I think Midwest Tennis and Track out of Denison did that, is what I'm learning. They are not for concrete though, they're more for asphalt, because of the moisture. And when they seal the court and paint the markings on the court, it's between $4,000 and $5,000.
Right.
So we could go that route, or I gave you the other option, which is the new up and coming thing. It's lifetime, never have to be painted again, it won't fade, and it's the courts that I showed you on here.
I would like to know more about that, I guess. So, here's my suggestion. I think there's people in town here, I know there are. There's women in town here that would like to have a court here, and I think they would like to form a committee, and not that I've said anything to them about this, but a couple of years ago, they were talking about it, and I think they do some fundraising, you know. I think any big projects, it's nice if the people
Exactly
that
what I
wanna
was
use it
hoping
can
to
put
hear.
some money in, so.
Yep.
I'd be more than happy to talk to a few people if you'd like, referring to you or something.
This will qualify for SCTV
Yeah,
grants.
Sac County down.
My question about that other stuff is, and I'm sure they've used it, is, you know, I can't imagine that it hits off, that the ball bounces the same, but
It's all the same, yeah.
okay. Well,
The person with the bid that I gave you, he would more than want to come up here and give a presentation, let you feel the material, and there's other companies too. He's just a guy who went way out of his way to help me,
okay.
and so I put because they're all really close to the same price. You could do pickleball, you can add, and we've talked about this, you could add in the lines for a half-court basketball, or don't put the lines in, and just put the hoop up on the end for down at the campground. You could add shuffleboard to it, but then you gotta decide you want fencing. There's a whole lot of elements that go to this as far as cost. This guy won't even talk to us about fencing, because he said it's so ridiculous high right now, that it's 2 to 3 times higher than pre-COVID, so he wouldn't even talk about that.
That's why I think, you know, there needs to be some fundraising done
Yep.
for it, so, I'll talk to you. I'll get
So
you
for
some
now, we
names.
don't wanna fix the net, we're gonna hold off and see what's decided.
Yeah, it's late in the year too. So.
right. Okay.
Great, thanks.
City administrator report.
We do, yes. First, a little bit about tobacco, and let's talk about that. Just that at the last council meeting, the council had wanted to list tobacco for sale and set a minimum price on that $30,000. It's listed on auction time right now, and it is, the sale date on that is the 15th of September, so next Wednesday. Yeah, I talked with Levi at Thesis, who listed it for us, and he was looking at it, that maybe he'd be personally interested, so it might be just that 30,000 was gonna be too much. He was not at all
It always go down.
You know, when we made that decision of 30,000 and afterwards, you know. and-
I was in Missouri, I'll just
Yeah.
blame it on that.
You know, you kind of look at that and you think about the decisions you made on Monday night, thinking, and then after you see that in the paper and stuff, you're like, what did we just do? You know, the machine was $70,000 new. We're looking at up to $30,000 to fix it, and then we list a reserve the way it is of 30,000. I mean,
We can take it off yet, can't we? Can't you back down for that?
Boy, I could check, make sure check on it if you want to look at a different reserve.
you know, and talking to these guys that are using the thing, you know, you don't only have that transmission thing, but, you know,
Yeah,
so
so
much
much
engine issues and stuff, you don't know what you're gonna get into when you repair the thing, and I think, you know, it's seen its better days. We have the opportunity right now to, possibly get a new one. Jeff looked at Cat and was very happy with that model, right? And there might be some on the lawn, there might not.
There, talking with the cat dealer, there was some on the lot, but we're getting into tiling and farmers are wanting to spend some money. The two he had on the lot are spoken for. He's looking for one, but if not, it'll be February. Talking with John Deere guy now, it was gonna be, when this all happened, it was gonna be December before one could be built, and now it's pushed off till March.
And the thing now, and why do we bring this up a lot? Things are not getting cheaper. And this is like the new car thing, you know, if we can find one now, now's a couple folks in there.
What kind of warranty do they have with that?
Like a 5-year warranty.
Okay.
And then if you, before the warranty's up, if you wanna extend that warranty, you can extend it. If you wanna hang on to it more than 5.
I talked with Nick and Marty Maurer. Marty has been a person who bought John Deere, him and his father, for years, like 15 years. I don't know what happened between them and Deere, but Cat come in. He's been in Cat for like 12 years now. He says, when I call Cat, they're here the next day or the day after. He goes, I called Deere, I don't know when they're gonna show up. So I got to look at their brand new machine. They ordered a new machine last November. They did not get it until March of this year. And Caterpillar says, you keep your machine, I don't care about the hours, I'll still trade you the same from November to March. So I just kinda look at that part of it. As far as I'm concerned, both machines are very comparable as far as a machine. But,
Caterpillar don't want it, want our old machine. So we just have to sell it
I think,
outright.
you know, keep it on the option and then
Yeah.
take that reserve.
Lower our expectation.
They did say that, Cat did say that he'll try to find a used one that, or a rental type deal that we can use. I don't know what the price cost on that is, but he will work hard to find something that we can use to
If we rented one, that'd be adding more cost to potentially have to.
Well, I think he's talking about buying a rental unit, aren't you?
Or, no, we're talking about buying a brand new.
Oh,
If we have to order one and we can't get it until March, he's willing to find us a
Something to
rental
Oh, I see, okay,
That's the other
To-
way.
and
to
work,
use
work
your
some
trailer.
out.
I see. I thought maybe he was looking for a used rental to sell it.
Do we have attachments that will fit?
They have, on CAT, you have to buy the attachments that we would weld to our equipment, and then that way it'll work right on that machine. It'd be the same with John Deere, we'd have to buy the attachments to weld onto our.
Was that proposal that we had for John Deere Cat and stuff, what was that? Is that still the same amount of money?
The prices,
Yeah.
yeah, they're the same.
What was that, 120?
119 something for the CAT and 113.
Depend, well,
Oh, it's
John Deere's was different because
Yeah.
of the trade.
The trade-in. Yeah, so
They're gonna give us like 13,000 for ours.
So where will, can't do out of Sioux City then, or is
Yes.
that what we're talking about?
Or Des Moines, or Minnesota, wherever they got one sitting on the ground. They all stay together.
So we have, and when we were talking about the options for financing this thing, we were talking about electric fund.
Yes, yeah, the electric fund would have part of it and public works, and we'd have cash on hand.
If I make a motion that we pursue the CAT that we were talking about,
Does that include the attachment?
No. And the CAT guy said that they're not that expensive, and we could weld them on.
We probably should have a price.
Okay, on those.
Yeah, that's, yeah, we can have this motion that we would pursue this, we'll come up with what the actual thing is and certainly present it back to the council for formal action.
There are several
so we need a second to pursue the CAT.
Pursue the CAT, yeah.
I'll second.
Or not use them, but have them come and use if you have that into one. What about the little one, don't that do?
And that's what
So
we.
backhoe's not so much the issue anymore, it's the loader part.
Yeah,
That's what we're missing more than anything right now.
shoving the,
And you can do so much with a skid loader, but
Yeah.
you don't have the push power or hauling capability.
yeah, especially out those dump and stuff.
You go on the other side of the lake, you get around a lot faster with that loader than you can that skid loader.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Holman,
Yes.
Moller,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Reese. Now, with that, so do you want me to get a hold of auction time and have them reduce that minimum? Or are you just gonna let that ride out and try to work with CAT on a trade?
But you can get 30,000 for what's the difference?
It's just not gonna happen.
One just won't get what you can get.
So can you
Well,
relist
take-
it? Can
take
you
the
relist it then? Because
reserve
Pat
off.
doesn't want it.
Yeah,
Right, just take the reserve off.
Can you relist it as 15? What was John Deere gonna do?
13.
13?
Can we just take the reserve off?
You can, you know, I know, and there are folks around here who are interested in it. There'll be some interested buyers. We just gotta get the word to them about knowing that it's out there on auction time, and that's how.
One thing about equipment, just like anything, vehicles, they're bringing more money, because they can't get it.
It does have a problem on the,
Well, I thought it was fit, I didn't fit.
Oh, it's not.
That's the whole issue.
I just want to give it to them.
what could you like, put 15 on it and see?
Well,
I guess that's the question, do you want to
I'd say
reserve or do
just
you
take the
just want to
I
take?
take the reserve off.
Okay, all right.
What are the fees with Levi then? Like if you sold it for,
2.5%. We'll relist it there with no reserve.
have to sell it, then if you get a bid of $1,000 with no reserves, do you have to sell it for the $1,000?
It'd be
Yeah,
as a sale.
if you don't have a reserve.
Yeah, so you may want to put some kind of a reserve, so it doesn't get too cheap.
So we certainly can have a $10,000 reserve.
That's fine.
Don't cost the company a lot of labor.
No.
Put $10,000.
Okay. This next thing that I had on here, I had it under the heading of campground drainage study, and we had discussed this at the last council meeting about whether there was interest in basically having a drainage study done in that campground area, but this ties into the Crest Park Drive drainage situation. But you just wanna give update on Dean?
I talked to Kyle and also talked to Dale about drainage there on Crescent Park. I can't put a intake on the hillside side of the road, north side if you will, because of the utilities on it. But could put in a curb and gutter system there and take it right down to the horseshoe. We talked about that before. You know, keep it on that side. Keep that excess water if possible on that side, and it doesn't flow over to Pat's house. But also put a curb and gutter on her side that goes down, and you utilize her neighbor's drive, and because it's already got the swale in it, down to the campground, and just utilize what is already there.